So, Chris, thanks for joining us on the HVAC School podcast and this live stream here at AHR. It's really good to have you.
Thank you for inviting me, Brian. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so to start with, tell me just a little bit about yourself, because you have a very kind of key role within Johnson Controls. So give us your kind of title and then how you found yourself in this position.
Yeah, I'm the Vice President of Regulatory Codes and Environmental Affairs. And my background is I'm an engineer. So I've designed commercial and residential equipment for a long time. And then I moved over into product management. And as a part of that product management role, I ended up having to do the regulatory work to develop the product roadmap, where we're going to go. And that ultimately led me into this full-time regulatory job, which, by the way, all of my counterparts, in the industry, Kara, Train, Lennox, it all have similar roles to what I do.
And when a lot of people maybe historically have thought about Johnson Controls, they thought controls, right? I mean, that's right in the name, right? But give us just kind of the broad overview of all the different things you have your hands in nowadays at Johnson Controls.
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. What I do, I sit in what we call the ducted systems business. So Johnson Controls, big institutional chillers, we controls, obviously, with our digital platforms, air handlers, air filtration, security, fire alarms, you name it. But I sit in the ducted systems business, and that's really residential, light commercial, large rooftops, split systems, gas furnaces is where I focus. And the thing that's really on our doorstep right now from a regulatory perspective, where I spend all my time right now, is getting the industry ready to transition to all new efficiencies no later than January 1st, 2023. And then right on the heels of that, we've got to take all the products that we've just designed and convert them to a low GWP refrigerant within 2 years. And that's also a no later than date. So if you think things are busy now in the industry, wait until 2023 and 2024.
Yeah. And so, whether you love it or whether you don't, it's a reality. I always, whenever I do these sorts of streams or podcasts, I get a lot of people, who want to complain about how it is. But the fact is that we're not the ones who necessarily decided this.
Yeah.
We're the ones who have to make sure how we're going to make it work. So for technicians, contractors, this stuff is really important. We've talked a lot about the low GWP refrigerants, but we haven't talked a lot, really none, about what's happening with the DOEs. So talk a little bit about that. What are we preparing for here?
Yeah, so every 6 years, DOE is statutorily obligated to review the latest minimal efficiency standards for our products, residential, light commercial. DOE decided roughly 6 years ago we needed to upgrade those, right? So the thing that's complex about this transition is the regional efficiencies, where DOE's divided the U.S. into the north, south, which really is southeast and southwest, for certain types of products. So if it's an AC, right, and you're in the north region, that's a different minimal than ACs in the south, where your business is, right? And then different for where we sit today in the southwest.
Right.
So knowing what can be sold through after that date, there's what DOE has, they call date of manufacturing products and date of installation. Unfortunately, where your business is in the southeast, is date of installation. So it means the products, today's products that are built before 1/1/2023 that don't meet the new minimums, if they're not installed by that date, they're essentially dead. You'd have to move them north, right? And hopefully you got a friend up there that'd be willing to take.
Yeah. So from an inventory standpoint, just to your point here, a couple things I want to back up. When we're saying DOE, that's Department of Energy.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And what we're saying here is that if you're a contractor and you're stocking equipment, you're going to want to pay close attention.
Very close.
And that's going to vary based on region. And so you need to know what this stuff is.
Yeah, and I feel really unfortunate for those of you that span one of those regions. If you've got a footprint in the north, in the southeast, the southwest, and I've got obviously customers that do that, that is double complicated.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at the current supply chain issues where all of the OEMs have extended lead times, contractors in those two date of install regions in the southeast and southwest really need to think about what product they want to order for this next cooling season. What I'm recommending, I said, if you feel comfortable that you can get all that 14 SEER product, ACs installed, just realize it has to be done or it's dead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't want that risk, or if you think maybe some of the lead times may stay longer and your order may not come in when you want it, you might want to order 15 SEER or higher. What's on the energy guide label, that yellow hang tag label?
Yep.
That way, even though you guys are like your business in the southeast, is in the date of install. If the current energy guide label is at or above the new 2023 minimums, those can still be installed on or after 1/1/2023. So that makes a big difference about what you want to order.
Right.
Right. Because if you take that gamble with the 14 SEER, that's a gamble. You can get it done, and you get the product in time. You can get it sold to the contractor in time. You can get it installed in time.
Yeah.
We all know those construction disruptions. So you might want to consider buying anything with a hang tag. ACs. Now, this doesn't apply to heat pumps, right? Doesn't apply to commercial, right? Or three-phase. Those are date of manufacture, or they have later transition dates.
Okay. All right. So specifically, like if you think about markets like Miami, where they have a lot of straight cool AC systems, this is going to be a really big factor. So this is a question that just popped in my head, and this is always dangerous when you're doing a live stream to ask these questions, but hey, if we don't know, we don't know, that's fine. But one of the things that has come up in the past when we do this is it's the AHRI match that we're looking at. And that was always what we were trying to hit, but it sounds to me like we got to actually look at the yellow tag that's on these things.
Right. Yeah. And Brian, I spent a lot of time working with the Department of Energy trying to get DOE to accept what we call the mix match. In this case, your 14 SEER energy guide label that's below the new 2023 minimums, when matched with the right furnace or coil is above. DOE just in late December put out guidance that said they don't support that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And here's the reason for that. For that to be legal, a complete system must be installed.
Right.
And so DOE really doesn't have a good enforcement arm.
Right.
And so they don't trust that the entire system will be installed. But if you put in a 15 SEER or higher hang tag, many people don't know that rating that's on the energy guide label, what we call in the industry the hang tag, was established with the least efficient indoor match. So no matter what you match with it, it will always be at or above that rating it's on. And that's why DOE doesn't want to do it. And it's unfortunate because the distributor organizations and the contractor organizations were really kind of not happy with DOE on that. But
because it forces the manufacturers to make a decision, right? So now you have to decide, do we just eliminate our low-end air handlers in order to help make sure that our minimum matches, it's this dance. And again, it's a dance that we've always had to do, and we're having to do it again. But that's why Johnson Controls has you to make sure that they make the right decisions.
Yeah, I always caution people, don't shoot the messenger here, folks, because I don't make these rules. I try to help influence them, but at the end of the day, it's DOE.
Yeah, and we've got to do the dance, and we've got to, at the end of the day, create good products that are going to do the job for contractors and keep them prepared, keep them trained, which is what we're doing here.
Well, I would say if you look at the glass is half full perspective, contractors will be able to sell more complete systems this way.
Yeah.
Right. Which that makes for more efficiency, better customer, satisfaction. There's a lot of benefits. And what I would say to the contractor audience is you're the expert here. You've got the great opportunity to do even more work with better equipment, and our new equipment coming out with controls and communications is, digital acumen is really just going to make the job easier.
For sure. So we've talked a lot on the podcast about A2Ls already and about the transition, but kind of give me your perspective on that. Give us some dates and kind of a quick overview on that.
Yeah. So right now, back in December, the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act was passed. President Trump actually signed it as part of the broader COVID bill. And what it does, it phases down hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs, over a 15-year period. So starting this year, 2022, all the way through the end of 2035. And it's a phase down, it's not a phase out. The unfortunate consequence for my sector, meaning the residential light commercial, is all of these lower GWP alternatives that are below 750 are what ASHRAE calls mildly flammable.
Right.
And I know what people think, oh my God, flammable. When we say A2Ls, just give you an idea of the flammability, it's not like propane or any hydrocarbon, right? These A2Ls, unfortunately, do exhibit some flame propagation, but once you remove the flame source, they self-extinguish. So you can't throw a match on them and they burn and keep burning, right? That's not how it works. But, I wish there was the magic unicorn refrigerant that was low GWP and non-flammable. This would be a non-issue, right? But unfortunately for our sector, now that's different for chillers. Chillers is used ammonia and other flammable, toxic, that have been been used in the market for a long time. But unfortunately it's going to be new for the residential light commercial sector. And it's going to require some training The contractor evacuation pumps will need to be looked at, make sure they're A2L compatible. And by the way, when I say A2L, that's an ASHRAE definition of flammability. So to give you guys an example, R410A, the current refrigerant that's dominant in the unitary market, is an A1 non-flammable, meaning it's non-toxic,
non-flammable.
And what it really is not about flammability, it's whether it propagates a flame.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So 410A is considered an A1. A3, the other extreme, would be propane.
Right.
And then there's A2s, and A2Ls are a subset of that because they even have lower flammability. So you can't walk across the carpet and static electricity will not set it off.
Right.
You can't unplug something in and out of a 120 volt wall outlet. That won't set it off, right? Even electric heat strips below over like 1200 Fahrenheit won't set it off. So it's just because of this test, the way it's run, it propagated a little bit of flame, so they had to make it an A2L.
Right.
But here's the benefit I would tell contractors. Unlike when we transitioned in 2010 from R22, right, the ozone depleting, to the non-ozone 410A, those two refrigerants were dramatically different in terms of pressures and temperatures.
Yeah.
That's not the case this time.
Right.
These new A2Ls, and Johnson Controls has chose 454B
Yep.
as ours. If it wasn't for the flammability, they would almost be considered a drop in.
Sure.
I mean, they're that close, right?
Yeah, pressures wise, low glide. There's a lot of, and even in terms of thermal properties, very good latent heat of vaporization.
Very good.
Really solid refrigerants. So you don't have to worry about an oil change like we had to deal with when we went from mineral oil to POE. So.
Now, just to be clear, some of the others, and I don't want to, talk to my competition too much, they may require some oil change because one of the other low GWP alternatives, 32, does have a higher discharge temperature.
Right.
So the thing I need to clear, and my lawyers always caution me, say, Chris, you must make it very clear that you can't mix and match an A1 non-flammable system with an A2L. That's why I made the statement earlier, more system change out. So that's the benefit of this, right? You can still repair the old 410A products, right, with like products.
Right.
But the new A2L equipment is going to come with sensors and controls that if it does detect a leak, it's going to diffuse it because it's going to bring on the blower. Right? It's got a sensor that we factory locate. Right. It's going to have controls that won't be on the old 410A equipment.
Yep, for sure. All right. Yeah, it's been great talking to you, Chris. It's always great to hear about what's going on in the trade, and great information. If people want to find out more about Johnson Controls and the kind of the stuff you're all up to, your trainings, everything's going on, how do they do that?
Yeah, we've got a website. Just Google Johnson Controls.
There you go.
You can follow. Again, we're a big company, but look for the unitary sector, what we call ducted systems products. And that's where you'll find us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, Brian.
Thank you.